I think we have to acknowledge that ours is a relatively young profession. Most counseling centers really became established in the 1940s, 1950s.
It was very apparent that during the 40s, after World War II, counseling centers emerged primarily to help veterans re-enter the workforce and to help them really figure out what they would do once they returned to the American society. From there it evolved though, and during the 50s and 60s, counseling became more accepted as a process to help people not only adjust, but also to help them become more self-aware, to help them make meaningful choices. And so during the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we're basically seeing counseling centers take a very heavy developmental focus.
The growth that I've seen over that 50 or 60 years is that counseling centers themselves have become, their missions have become much broader. A lot of counseling centers, in addition to doing their clinical work, also provide campuses with programming, consultation. Many of them have become training centers where we are providing training for the next generation of psychologists. And in our profession, we have developed theory, we've conducted research, we've established professional journals. For having a relatively short history, the development of this profession has been pretty dramatic and impressive. I think ACPA and CCAPS have contributed to that in some very significant ways.
What I remember most about the commission was that it really spoke to, helping professionals meet their needs. As I spent more time, it wasn't just the early professional support, but mid-professional support and helping address leadership within counseling centers, looking at some of the critical issues, looking at professional identity issues.
It was the place to go to get a job in counseling centers and the place to go to recruit in counseling centers.
My favorite memory of my involvement really was those open commission meetings that we had in the morning. They were kind of round table, led by a lot of the people who were working in counseling centers at the time, and I remember it was such great discussion. It was what brought us all together, those of us who were dealing with what I saw as counseling center work as a unique field of psychology. We were looking at the adjustment and developmental problems of college students, and there was really no other venue where folks who were working in centers could come together and talk about the common issues and problems that they had. Those discussions, sometimes they were practical and sometimes they were philosophical, were the things that really energized me and motivated me professionally early in my career.
And I always thought that was really kind of wonderful, that you literally had an organization that wanted to hear from the people on the front line and to deal with some of the issues that we encountered as being members of a university counseling center staff.
It was a change in counseling centers as they were hiring a lot of new people, a lot more women. So many of us were moving into institutions that had been fairly male-dominated, and we were bringing in women's issues, feminist issues. We were tending to rape, we were tending to incest. We were bringing up topics that really hadn't been discussed previously in a direct way. And Commission 7 was the place where I found like minds, where I found people who were also trying to do the same things.
Despite some of the changes that happened in the larger organization, when we went through this major restructuring, I think CCAPS was one of the national pieces that literally knew who they were and why they were, and turned out to be a stabilizing influence for counseling center personnel all across the country. I'm not sure that there was any other entity that literally played that role.
I think that the clinical demands at counseling centers across the nation are posing a huge, huge challenge. I think that how we're going to meet this kind of demand in efficient ways without sacrificing quality is going to be a really important question. And also, how do we protect the sustainability of our staff in that process?
We don't have the resources to take care of the demand. As a result, what the tendency is, we're moving away from really helping students self-actualize and really achieve their potential to centers that are focused upon helping students stay functional enough to stay in the system. And I think that's a great loss, especially when you consider that our leaders are coming out of this population.
We have on one side an increase in the demand for clinical services, but beyond that, we're seeing the utility that counseling centers have for other parts of the institution. For the individual counseling center, I think what I would anticipate is that there's going to be a continued struggle to find what is the appropriate balance between clinical services and training activities, consultation, student development. That may well vary from campus to campus.
The counseling role in colleges and universities is changing. I think it's being, in some ways, defined for us in response to the changing mental health problems that we're seeing, the concerns on our campus about safety. And I think that the primary challenge that the Commission really faces is how do we take charge of, how do we get a hold of defining what our role should be.
There are a lot of people now who think they know our work. And as CCAPS is known and has been the original place for folks involved in counseling center work, we have a lot of competitors out there now.
We really have to compete out there with all the little baby bells out there trying to do what CCAPS started and has been doing for years, trying to catch up to our history of 50 years.
A major challenge when the job market shifted from going to ACPA to get a job to getting your job more in an online kind of fashion. I think it changed the nature of who went to ACPA. And I think the continual challenge for CCAPS will be to have a venue that it's worth spending your travel money to attend.
I think we do have some challenges in terms of membership, in terms of finding our voice within the organization and within counseling center world in general.
I think one of the challenges certainly is how does the Commission manage the discussions, the types of dialogue that's going on now in the association regarding the joining of ACPA and NASPA. I think that we need to be mindful of what our unique voices are as part of the association, and to know that we have an expertise and a value that only we can provide.
So I think that's going to be the challenge, is how do we infuse our sense of collaborative, inclusive work into this new organization, and what will be the structure that will enable that.
CCAPS will always be relevant in that it will provide that need for professional networking. It will also provide the continuing education. So it stays relevant. But it's a matter of how can CCAPS really become more focused upon promoting what is best for our profession and best for our students. Advocacy takes money. It takes organization. It takes time. And that is a challenge.
CCAPS and ACPA provides an opportunity for not only counseling center professionals on college campuses, but other administrators and professionals on college campuses to network together.
CCAPS has always been a place that has fostered professional development. CCAPS historically is the first organization that focused on counseling center issues. It's the longest standing organization that focuses on counseling center issues. Its strength is that it's part of ACPA, so it really focuses upon that broader perspective of student affairs and counseling's role within student affairs.
Some of our strengths over the years, and I should say I've been a part of the Commission or CCAPS for about 15 years I think now, is certainly our multidisciplinary focus. I really like that we continue to be the organization for counseling center people, regardless of your position, regardless of your level of training, regardless of your professional identity. And there are not many organizations that are like that.
The strength of the Commission has always been the ability for professionals of all levels to become involved integrally in the work of the Commission relatively easily to the degree of their comfort.
Some of the things that I think that we're really great at are connections. So of course a bunch of therapists are going to be able to connect really well, but I also think that that is the heart of both ACPA and our division of ACPA.
It's the warmth, it's the connection, certainly lots of wonderful learning and professional development, but as I think about some of the most powerful parts of Commission 7 and CCAPS, for me it is the personal connections.
That sense of community I think was very important. I just felt that, you know, I was involved with something larger than simply coming to work in my particular counseling center on a daily basis.
One of CCAP's greatest strengths is its cultivation and nurturing of relationships within the group.
The number of relationships and the types of connections that I've been able to make over the years have really been invaluable.
The beauty for me was to be initially helped by those who had been through that same journey, and then the next time around I could be the helper. And that open collaborative relationship, which then set the tone for how I would work with staff as a counseling center director. So that was, to me, the huge strength of CCAPS, is that collaborative, inclusive, open relationship process.
I truly love my association, ACPA, have served in a variety of roles, and will tell anyone of the value and worth of the professional and personal relationships that can be enriched by engaging with CCAPS.
In terms of CCAPS, the relationships I formed in the old Commission 7, which is currently CCAPS, have followed me throughout my career. Mm-hmm. And in fact, some of the people that we look at as having achieved that Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award are folks that I met initially at the same time, same place in CCAPS.
Once I was introduced to CCAPS, went to various directorate meetings and engaged in activities with the Commission, I was hooked. I was hooked.
There are many individuals, good people, who stay with Commission 7. And I think everyone who's come through Commission 7 still has strong loyalty to it as an organization.
To those of you who are thinking you might want to get involved in national leadership and just haven't taken that effort, it's worth it. It's balanced my career. Find something that you have a passion for, some people that you like, and volunteer for something, and then run for something, and then run for something else. Because we can shape policy, we can shape the things that happen on our campuses.
The message to young professionals is, I think, whatever time and energy I have invested in the organization has been paid back to me tenfold.
I just have to say, I have never been a part of any professional mental health organization that was more warm and friendly and just fun to be around, and I have just so much enjoyed the people of CCAPS.
I want to let you know I'm glad we're starting off in a new year, and I'm glad you're all here. And I take, speaking of pride, I take pride in that and pride in you. But I do look forward to the year, and I hope you do also. I look forward to it largely because of you all. The place isn't a place of things, it's a place of people. Good people here. Good people.